Hello, guys. Today I'm going to venture out into the new podcast format, sort of solo, discussing a few things that I find really interesting in the dentistry. And so today the topic is the shifting landscape in dental supplies ordering. So this is my personal take on where the industry is and what we've seen from a sample of our Zen One customers that we see use our platform. So I just wanted to quickly go through a couple of the trends and make sure that we address those and provide the value for you guys. So the number one is, I think the most important trend is going to be the buying groups, right? So we've all heard of them. It's not anything new, but we've seen a slight uptick in the use of the buying group. So a lot more customers are joining Zen now, asking about how it's integrated with the buying groups and how it's connected and what are the things they need to know to set up the account. So I would just say, first of all, the range anywhere between $125 to $299 a month. The most common ones we've seen are the Synergy Dental, Dental Whale, Savings Network. Source Club is the new one, and my good friend Brad Freeman is running it. DSN, Dental Success Network, which is the offspring of the Dental Success Institute, Koi's Buying Group, and Mayor's List. And that's primarily for the ortho. So what I've seen working with the buying groups now and seeing different prices, not every buying group is the same when it comes to your specific dental practices. So for example, if the practice is a heavy user of 3M manufactured products, Synergy is probably the best group. But then if you're looking for the top four categories, which is the anesthetic, disposables, infection control, and gloves, a buying group like Source Club is probably the best because they've negotiated prices even lower than Synergy. And that's what we've seen on our platform. And so you better ask some tough questions when you're interviewing buying groups. And I have a list and I'll provide it in an article, something like what manufacturers do you have discounts with and the deepest discounts? How often do you negotiate discounts? Is it volume based? One of the questions that I'm fascinated by, that with each dental practice joining a buying group, there should be a lower discount associated with using the buying group. And so to me, it's very interesting if each practice brings even lower price or it's negotiated and it stays the same. So that's something that practices can use when evaluating the buying group. And then does the buying group negotiate a percentage? For example, they will say 20% off of the catalog price, or it's a set price. So for example, CaviWipes is $7.50, right? So just asking these questions, I think will help a lot to evaluate the right buying group. And so again, buying groups are on the rise, asking the right questions. And after you ask these questions, again, I personally wouldn't recommend sending like 10 items to evaluate because, everybody's going to address those 10 items and you wouldn't be able to see a full picture. I think what really matters is 12 months of order history with your volume so that somebody representative of a buying group can see exactly how much you're spending in a volume and things like that. So now, one of the concerns that we have internally at Zen when it comes to the buying groups is the setup, right? So we've seen way too many times doctors go and attend the course, or they go to the Koi Center, or they go to the conference, they like the buying group, or they would sign up with Synergy or somebody like that. They come back and crickets, right? Nothing happens. And so one of the things we ask is, what's the process? Or recommend asking the buying groups, what is the process? How the vendors and suppliers know that now you're part of the buying group? So for example, if you've been using Darby before and now you send out with Synergy, it's a good question to ask. How do you know? Like, how would they know? How would they connect, right? Then the other question to ask is, how is it going to work with ordering platforms like Zen? And there are a couple others. Some are much better integrated. Again, like Zen, we pretty much know right away what part of the buying group that you're using and the pricing. And some you're just going to have to call and set up and make sure that they're working properly. And I think the second part of that setup question is, how would your dental assistant know, right? So a lot of times in the practice, we've seen doctors signing up with things and assistants continue to buy from their top three without utilizing the buying groups. And I think it's a pretty big mistake and it's costly mistake. So at least if you don't have an ordering platform, at least, have the standard operating procedure, the SOP for the dental assistant moving forward to use the buying group. So that's a trend number one. Buying groups and all the issues that I mentioned there will be resolved with AI. Moving forward. So AI is not my trend number two. I think we're a little bit far away from that. And I think it's going to be at some point. But as of right now, I think my trend number two is labor cost is driving adoption of the tools that reduce manual work. So a lot of things are happening in the back of the office, right? So my friends at Uptime Health, they're running asset management. So pretty much anything related to equipment, they're doing that. In the past, it could have been a simple spreadsheet, but now it's getting a lot more complicated. And or ordering platform or inventory platform like Zen. You know, in the past, I would say with the $12 an hour assistant, you can do a lot of these things manually, right? And if you're still paying somebody $12 an hour, maybe it's worthwhile just do it manually. But now, some states we see $20, $25 an hour for a dental assistant. I don't think it's the best use of the time for them to price shop every single vendor or compare Net32 to Safco and some other vendors, right? So to me, the best thing right now is utilizing the platform and asking your dental assistant and the team members to step up, right? Either creating the checklist, either creating the SOPs, either creating the morning checklist or evening or downtime checklist. Sometimes we see offices asking their dental assistants when there's a downtime to step up and fill in the schedule. So basically calling in the patients. And I think it's a lot more valuable than having somebody sort through the products and where you can save the money. And again, if you don't have an option, yes, maybe. But then now there's so many platforms like Zen. And again, I'm biased. I think Zen is the best. But there's so many options out there that I think it's just worthwhile paying somebody like $99 a month for a platform to do all this work and allow your dental assistant to bring more value to your practice. I'm not going to go through the list of these companies. I think you guys all know it. But a couple of the things when you choose the right ordering platform, I would say there are three things that I'm concerned about um, when I see people sign up with companies like Zen. First of all, who owns the data? I would ask that question before you sign up, and I would make sure that this is something that you address and ideally in writing. So who owns the data? And in case you need to cancel the contract or move or upgrade to something else, it should be a very easy data dump at your request within 24 hours. And it's better be in writing. So if you reach out to a company like ours again, and you say, I need a full dump of everything we've done on a platform, including orders, quantities, volumes, prices we paid, who we purchased from. If it's a multi-user account, maybe even activity history, who did what, and you should be able to get that dump at no cost within 24 hours. And ideally, you own the data, right? So that's a big concern. Second thing is the setup cost. We used to do that on Zen Supplies, and then we realized that when we built our second platform, Zen One, that the setup cost is basically asking a customer to pay for inefficiencies of your platform. And so we decided to move away from that, and we highly encourage our others to do that. And we think that you shouldn't be paying for it. If it's the basic ordering, platform that you should be able to go in, connect your vendors, see what you're purchasing, build up the list, put products in the shopping cart, and you're good to go. And again, my true belief is that there shouldn't be any setup costs associated with that. Now, if it's the inventory play, if you need to train the office on how to use it, how to print the QR codes or barcodes, and how to set up your phone as the barcode scanner, and how to create custom workflows and automations to help offices to become more efficient, more like the training or the coaching session on how to use the software to create better tools within an office or like automate the office. Totally, absolutely. But again, for simple like Amazon, we never paid for setting up the Prime, so I don't understand why would we do that. And I would say the last thing here, when it comes to ordering, is give it a run. So with a lot of platforms, when you do the demo, it all looks great on paper. When you do the demo, it's so easy. The buttons are good looking, right? It's not a Windows 95. So we all know that it's going to be a pretty good looking software, but everything comes together when you do the free trial. So I would highly recommend asking these companies to give you a couple of weeks of free trial where you can place one big order by yourself without anybody. You just have a list of things that you need to buy and you give it a try. You do the search and you add the products and you compare. Yes, it's going to be time consuming in the beginning, but it will give you a good picture of the platform that later you'll be able to delegate within the office, right? So if you're a doctor or a practice manager, you'll delegate it to a dental assistant. If you're a dental assistant, you will know that it's an easy to use product if somebody like a doctor tested it or a practice manager tested it. So, all right, so that's enough with the ordering platform. And again, AI is going to be a big part of it. But now the trend number 3, what I've seen happening at a dental practice, and it's really interesting. The rise of high quality products. So what I mean by that is practices are getting really, really smart about where they want to save money and where they want to spend money on high quality products because they have the freedom, especially with private offices. So what I mean by that is I have offices that go heavy on vocal products, for example, but they scale down on some of the disposables, infection control items, and they use generic brands, right? So like for them, 2x2s and cut rolls and even gloves at some point, and like products like that, and sometimes even masks. People love their black cranberry masks, but you can scale down on some of these items, but go really heavy on things that really make you happy as the provider. Again, if you're a doctor, if you really want to exercise your freedom and buy anything you want and not being constrained by the formularies and things like that. And these offices are still able to hit their 5% off of the collections target on a budget by doing that, right? So it's not just buy everything you want, but specific items very, very expensive. It comes, I mean, same concept with implants. But there are a few caveats here. One is no free goods, right? So if you need a vocal composite and if you only need one for the next 2 to 3 weeks, that's what my offices are buying or Zen offices are buying. And at the same time, and again, it's very intentional. If it happened to be that if you need to buy three and there's one available, absolutely go for it. But I would say that the categories that we've seen the most going to the generic brands are going to be the disposables, the hygiene and preventative, infection control, and aesthetics and gloves. And I would say this strategy really does keep these offices at the low cost option. So with that being said, I think these are the main trends that we've seen. And we'll be keeping an eye on all the trends available in throughout our offices and providing the feedback to you guys. But that's all for now. Thank you.